Hello there, everyone, and welcome to our second broadcast of the day following another Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament 2019 Qualifier. This one is jam-packed with runners. I think there's about 17 or 18 people in the race, but we will be featuring Ronnie, Wilson, Muffin, and Luster. For this race, I'm commentating as Sigma. Who else would I be? And I'm joined today by Matt Insane. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. I'm looking forward to this race. We've got two brilliant, effective matchups here. We've got Ronnie, who compares very, very well to Wilson, and Muffin, who compares very, very well to Luster. We'll have to see just how close these two pairs of runners will be. But not only that, but also there has been qualifiers in which Muffin has beaten the time that Ronnie has got, or other similar cases, so we could also see just effectively what is in a way an upset, though not really, since it's just a qualifier, but could see some comparisons even between the top tier runners and some of the slightly lower tier but still absolutely incredible runners of this game.
Yeah, a lot of the fun things about these qualifier broadcasts is you get to see a range of skills, and well, we're not seeing a very large range this time because Ronnie and Wilson are two absolutely insane runners. They both have had world record in the past. They were the finalists of last year's, and they're going to be going head to head here, looking for another 28-minute time to throw onto their qualifier results because they've both gotten those so far. Muffin and Luster, for their part, they have pretty good averages set already. They're comfortably qualified, I think, to make it to the bracket, most likely. But they always want to improve that. It would be great for either of them to see a 30 in this race. That's what they'd be shooting for. But a 31 for either of them could still help improve their averages, so that'll be pretty good. So, I mean, what we're expecting to see is a crazy race between Ronnie and Wilson, and then maybe like a minute behind, a crazy race between Muffin and Luster. But this game is pretty hard. You can take deaths that can just murder your time. So, one mistake from Ronnie or Wilson and they could be just overtaken by Muffin or Luster very easily.
Yeah, we could be seeing that. It seems like we'll be starting up very, very soon, so we'll be kicking off. And so what are we expecting to see extremely early on? What part of the race are you expecting to see where the runners are getting extremely close to each other, or where do you reckon they'll start to distance apart?
I'm hoping that we're just going to see like frame-tied wall jump between Ronnie and Wilson and frame-tied wall jump between Muffin and Luster. We'll see what we get. I mean, this first split is subject to a little bit of RNG, so you can have a second go either way depending on your drop luck. But we're getting kicked off. There go the prologue skips for everybody, and we'll be hopping through glades right away.
So for the very basic movement, which is all they have access to right now, it works out that it's ever so slightly faster to just be constantly in the air, as you can get slowed down slightly by little bumps in terrain. So you'll just be seeing them try and jump and stay as much time in the air, but it's frames either way, so it doesn't really make a huge difference.
Yeah, since it's all we can do early, we do it a lot. Later on, we'll have much faster movement options available than just hopping around, so we won't be worrying about that too much. But everybody is tied right now because there's very little you can do to improve this section. Muffin's doing a backflip there for them. I think that actually is the same speed, or maybe it looks like it's the same speed as jumping. But everybody is grabbing sign. This is our first skill. Will let us attack as we get synced explosions going across all these screens. And we've instantly put into a tutorial for this skill. We've got to kill some enemies. Everybody's going to be trying to shoot a single shot, then 2 quick volleys of 2 to get 5 hits onto these enemies as quickly as possible. Everybody did it pretty well. Looks like Luster maybe dropped one of the shots, so is now like half a second behind everybody else, but it's a good start for everyone so far.
Yeah, we're seeing the runners have carefully planned out all of these shots that they're firing, aiming to get the XP dialogue at the top after the flower. It looked like all of them got that, so they're not going to be losing annoying amounts of time there.
Yeah, Ronnie had a little bit of trouble. He ran into the slime at the top of the jump pad and got slowed down a little bit by that. And every runner now is going to be trying to set up their health for an intentional death taken here. You can skip the opening animations of keystone doors by placing keystones into the door, saving, and then dying. So everybody wants to be at 1 HP here. But looks like both Wilson and Ronnie were at 2, I think. So they're now tied again. And Muffin and Luster getting through there as well. Wilson and Ronnie are going to skip this 4th health cell that you see Luster and Muffin going up for. This saves 8 seconds now, and you donate about 5 of them back later when you have to grab a health cell later, because we need 5 health for the end of the run. But there are quicker options later on. It's just that taking 4 health early makes things a lot safer.
Yeah, especially, well, you might be thinking, well, this is a marathon race. Surely Ronnie and Wilson should be going for the safety, but really, with the way that different health setups are for ghost doors, especially in the Ginso tree, it is just easier to go what you're very familiar with for this sort of thing. So that's why they'll be sticking with what they used to.
Yeah, Wilson had a little bit of a scary moment there where I think he was trying to skip the flower bounce on his way down to wall jump, messed it up, and then took a hit from the slime, quickly flashed his UI on to make sure he could take another hit. He could, so he was able to proceed on, but this early game can be pretty scary since you're at low health, low energy, you can't save very much. Death there would have been tragic, but no problems getting to wall jump majorly from anybody, really. So we see Wilson just slightly ahead of Ronnie, Luster just slightly ahead of Muffin. All this can go topsy-turvy as we get into the more execution-heavy parts coming up soon.
Yeah, it looks like none of them have had any issues with the planning of the XP, which is planned out very carefully throughout the first effective half of the run, and then becomes much less important later on. But you see that they planned out a level of explosion to break the bramble wall. Just saves a couple of seconds, but when you need to level up anyway for a trick coming up very soon, you may as well. So do you want to talk about the trick that's about to come up?
Yeah, we're making our way over to Blackroot Burrows right now, which is a new area in Definitive Edition, and to let you know what's going on in Blackroot Burrows, they threw a cutscene at the entrance, which is very touching and starts to tell you about Naru's backstory and all that. But we have no time for this cutscene, so we're going to do a trick called Save Anywhere. By doing an input to dismiss and proceed through a menu at the same time, you can play with this menu up, move around in the background, and then save the game by leveling up an ability. So we step into the cutscene, level an ability, and then reload the game, and the cutscene is considered to have been already watched at this point. So we see Ronnie and Wilson moving to Blackroot, and I want to note there are some differences going on here. Ronnie is going for Quick Flame, Wilson's going for Magnet. So Wilson is going to be doing a strat called Slime Genocide. He's killing all the slimes he can in Blackroot to get experience. Ronnie is instead going to jump for an experience war. So this pans out to be fairly close in the end. It's kind of just a preference thing. Ronnie will have a faster Ginso mini boss later because he has Quick Flame, but Wilson has a little bit of a faster time through Blackroot here.
Yeah, and we'll also, so we'll see Ronnie's got the XP orb now, and he will be just ever so slightly behind Wilson, but this is not actually behind Wilson just due to the route differences. And we're seeing Muffin and Luster both heading towards the XP orb as they're both doing the neither of them are doing genocide here. So.
Oh man, Ronnie took a really tragic death to the lasers there, I think, in Blackroot, and he's back at the start now, so he's actually fallen into last place in amongst these featured racers. Wilson coming out with a big lead here, and Muffin and Luster pretty close. Now, Luster did get into Blackroot a little bit before Muffin, but I know he had a bit of trouble with the jumps up to the experience orb, so he did a reload, so he's actually okay on these cycles now, but those two are very close, and Ronnie falls into the spikes again in the orb room, so this, unfortunately for Ronnie, at this point this race is a write-off in terms of his average time, because he's likely to be able to pull out another 29 or 28 later in his qualifier sets, but this one is already like a lot of time lost for a runner of his caliber early, and that's just the unforgiving nature of Ori's early game.
So yet again, the runners are planning out their XP very carefully. It looks like Muffin and Luster are just like an experience away from leveling up. They're that precise here. And they're going to be using that very soon for the next big level up trick, which will involve kiting a Frankie, which we'll come to very soon. But just before that, we've got another planned out save, which we'll use to skip a cutscene. There's a couple of different variants here of the way you can do it. Wilson, you saw do a full skip of the cutscene. However, there's also a cutscene stack that you can do, which we'll have to see which of the runners go for that, if any. It's a little more dangerous. It looks like Muffin and Luster are both going for the full cutscene skip. It's ever so slightly slower, but it is very dangerous to do the cutscene stack because you can end up having a catastrophe of getting saved at the bottom of Blackroot if you fall down.
Yeah, that's right. Wilson picked off a couple extra slimes on his way out. He did miss 10 experience from one of the slimes on his way through, so he had to kill an extra one, which lost a couple seconds, but, you know, just being aware of that backup really quickly is good for him. And now he is baiting this Frankie over to the right side of Glades. Over here, you can run into an energy door, which costs 4 energy to open. It's impossible to get 4 energy at this time of the game, so it's intended that you go a long way around, but by putting 2 energy in and then leveling up, you get this effect. Wilson is through the door into the Death Gauntlet. Can't save for quite some time though, so this area is a little spooky. Remember, he's at 1 health right now, and he'll be just progressing on up through here. I don't expect that anybody is going to have issues with this trick because we're watching all, you know, very experienced runners who've been running this game for a long time, all of them. But you never know, and you can't save, so it can be pretty spooky. So Wilson's through it. Luster is at the end of his Frankie walk now, as well as Muffin. Muffin, you know, is playing with this menu up. This is to place a save here because it notoriously has some issues with lag in the Death Gauntlet, and sometimes that kills him, but he's through now, all nice and safe, and making his way into Grotto. It's Ronnie kind of bringing up the rear after all those Blackroot deaths. Will be starting his Frankie walk shortly, but it looks like everybody's doing very well through it so far.
So now we're coming up to a trick that we may see on Luster's screen and Muffin, where they both need to precisely do this very specific set of movement to see if they can get to this Crusher cycle a little early. Unfortunately, they're both very close, but they do miss it. That is a very precise trick that saves about 8 seconds if you can get the early cycle there. I didn't see if Wilson got it, but he probably did, knowing Wilson.
Yeah, I think he did. He was at
for it later.
He was at double jump at 9:05, so I'm pretty sure he got it. But if anybody could get a 9:05 double jump without that cycle, then Wilson would be one of them. But Ronnie will have an attempt at it soon. For Wilson's part, he's going up to Grotto skip here. It's a precise wall jump that skips about a minute-long chase scene on the left side of Grotto. No problem for him, and he's jumping up through this area. Now Luster, takes a death right before getting to the double jump tree, so that's going to give Muffin the lead in the race between those two for now. Yeah, and let's watch Ronnie's Grotto cycle, top left.
And he gets it beautifully, just getting in there just as the Crusher is going up, and is able to save a little bit time back against, comparing against Muffin and Luster, who didn't quite get it.
Yeah, that's right. But Wilson is now running away with this race. He could still make some, especially in Sorrow Pass later in the game, you can take very long and painful deaths. We've seen them happen to many a runner, and that could let somebody catch up to him. But in the present situation, it looks like he is just tearing this game up. It's been a beautiful run for Wilson so far.
Yeah, exactly. And besides the deaths from Ronnie, his movement otherwise has just been absolutely spectacular. He's hit the cutscene stack in Blackroot. He's hit Grotto cycle. He's just landing everything. So maybe after he's got that little bit of nerves out of the way, maybe he's getting into the groove. And he does a Grotto skip here, which is a precise series of jumps. Gets it cleanly first try, as expected of a runner of his caliber.
Wilson is now approaching the Ginso tree. Short pit stop there to activate a teleporter, which will be used to get to the end of the game later, because this area is pretty close to the final dungeon. It's a useful point to stop off at and use as a teleport point. He's now entering Ginso to watch this short cutscene of the door opening, and then he'll be on to the first dungeon, climbing up towards the back.
So we see that it might look like Muffin and Luster have equaled up, and currently they have. However, Muffin has invested some time into getting a 5th health cell from Grotto, which will give him some extra safety. and also will mean that he doesn't necessarily have to get an extra health cell later, though he may choose to for safety again, but that could save him time later on if he doesn't bother going and getting one, compared to Luster, who will have to get another one later, along with Wilson and Ronnie.
Yeah, that's right. You see Muffin and Luster are picking up an ability cell before Ginso, which Wilson skipped. Ronnie's going to skip it as well. That ability cell gives us an extra point to do a trick in Sorrow Pass, which breaks a roof for us. There's a different way to break the roof that doesn't require an ability cell, but it's extremely difficult, so we'll highlight that when we get to it.
Yeah, we will definitely be seeing that from Ronnie and Wilson. I'm sure they'll be going for that, which is a different route as well, so it's got to be planned out from the start. And we will see. I think Muffin is also doing a slightly different route. I'm not sure if Luster is doing this same one, but Muffin will be doing an early charge dash route as well. So he's getting slightly different experience, getting an extra ability cell, so he can get a very important ability called charge dash slightly earlier, which we'll talk about when we get to it.
Yep. Wilson has cleaned up the Ginso mini boss. It did not go perfectly for him. He was, I think, 3 shots away from getting a 4 cycle, which is perfect without quick flame. And then it popped up on the 5th cycle, and then he walked too close to it and despawned it. So he kind of got like a quick 6th cycle on it, which is not great for a runner of his caliber, but it's not going to be a big deal. He's still coming into Bash at 13:26 from the looks of things, which is a ridiculous Bash time. And he's definitely on pace right now, if all goes well, to set a really nice qualifier time for him. It was never much of a question if Wilson or Ronnie would manage to qualify for the brackets. It's just a question of who's going to have the fastest time and take the first seed, because either of these guys have the potential to be that #1 seed out of the first stage of the tournament.
Definitely. So Muffin and Luster are both in the mini boss fight right now. So they're aiming to hit all of these shots as fast as they can. The position that the mini boss will appear at is completely random. However, there is a 1-frame tell where the mini boss will show up for 1 frame just before he's actually going to show up. So the runners can preemptively go over to that location and get ready. So it ignores a lot of the RNG there.
Yep, that's right. And you can see some of the route differences paying off here for Ronnie, because he skipped that ability cell before Genso, and because he has Quick Flame to speed up the mini boss, he's managed to already catch up to Muffin and Luster because of, between those things and the fact that Ronnie is just like a complete monster, he's tied with them going into the Bash tree. So we have a sick 3-way race right now. Ronnie will have to invest a little bit of time later to collect health that Muffin and Luster already have. Wilson is already done key duping. He has extra keys over the top of Genso. He's going towards Thornfelt Swamp now, which we enter not through the Genso escape, but rather just by bashing a frog to get us in there. And missed double bash from Ronnie is going to drop a cycle on the redirect puzzle, so he's just moments behind Muffin and almost perfectly tied with Luster. This is crazy.
So we might be seeing a slight difference here in the position of the save. I'm not sure where Muffin saved, but the 2 different positions that you can save here to do a trick called key dupe, in which they will place the keys in the door, and it looks like they've taken an unintentional death, but that is planned. And if you die while keystones are in the door and your save is outside of the loaded scene, then the game will duplicate the keys and put the keys back in your inventory after you die. So now they're able to open this door with the amount of keys, but now also have some keys spare, which they'll use to skip out doing some swimming in Swamp.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, now with this route, we used to always key dupe in Genso because it's just way faster than swimming in Swamp, but nobody is going to be finishing the Genso escape, and thus all of the water in the world remains poisonous, which makes swimming in Swamp completely impossible. So everybody's got their keys in hand. 3 people all teleporting out of Genso together. Wilson's still leading the pack. Ronnie, Muffin, and Luster all in a close contest right now. And you see here some of the experience differences because Muffin's going for the earlier charge dash. He has to grab a 200 experience to the left of the Grotto teleporter, but that ends up basically even. It's just a preference thing pretty much, which way people go about it. Now we're going to have a big high 5 As Wilson leaves Swamp and everybody else is coming into it, they're going to try to slow him down as they smack him with their Oris on the way past.
So we're seeing it here, another one of the difficult tricks in the run. This is one of the hardest tricks in the run. This is Swamp Entry, where they're using a frog to bash its projectile to break some floors that are not normally broken by this frog, which is what we're able to skip the Ginsel escape with. We're seeing a couple different methods here. We've got Muffin doing the non-double bash method, buffering the shots up. We've got Luster doing the double bash method, where he doesn't even bash the frog down, and they both get it, and they're both through to the Stomp area, where they'll be soon picking up the next skill, which is Stomp.
Yeah, that's right. There's a little bit of trouble for all of our runners on the right side of the screen for now. Luster did take one failure on Swamp Entry because he dunked the frog. Wilson had some issues getting out of the 5th energy cell area, but he had a save in there because he was intending to go for the bash the shot cutscene skip, which didn't actually work, but helped out because he killed his spider and was stuck down there, which would have been really tragic if his save was further away. But just a little hiccup. He's now carrying this ability screen through to the spirit tree because the spirit tree tells you all about the start of the game, all the lore. You gotta go save the forest. We already know, so Wilson doesn't care. He's just gonna level up an ability, skip the cutscene, and be heading towards Valley, where the run really starts to pick up.
Yeah, so Luster did unfortunately take a death into falling into the water, so he's going to be slightly behind Muffin and Ronnie now, as Muffin's having to pick up some extra experience and abilities, which are, yet again, that's an investment into getting Charge Dash, which is an upgrade to Dash much earlier than you'll see any of the others runners get. And we would have seen Muffin hit a cutscene there, but he did skip it, and we'll see Luster going for that skip again very soon, in a matter of moments as he comes up to this. So this is going to be trying to use the bash teleport in order to skip a cutscene by just teleporting through the trigger. Yet again, gets it perfectly, and it's as if there's no cutscene there in the first place.
Yeah, Ronnie is trying this same skip that Wilson went for and didn't get. He took several deaths to this and now has slipped into the cutscene with the shot bashed into the wrong position, so he's gonna have to watch it. This is really a stylish move. It saves, just over a second if done perfectly, but it's super hard as you see these two top runners failing it here. But they go for it. It's not just a joke. Like, they actually do that in runs because they are nutty and they're scrambling for every second that they can get.
Yeah, so now we'll see the big route difference on Muffin's screen as he is about to pick up the Charge Dash ability, even though Wilson is also about to pick up the Charge Dash ability, but is slightly further on. So now that he has Charge Dash, he can start to do all sorts of exciting, fast movement in which he can effectively Charge Dash, which will cost an energy to go at very high speed towards the nearest enemy, and then he can cancel the energy cost in various manners, involving stomps, which he's doing there on that frog to juggle it upwards. He can also cancel it with a bash, which will yet again refund the energy cost. And this is why energy is so important in this run. It's all about balancing out the energy cost and just trying to get as many charge dashes in as possible.
Yeah, speaking of that, Wilson is halfway through Crazy Juggle, an insane trick involving this frog. We repeatedly charge dash it at it and cancel them. He's gotten it to the top, didn't fail any of his inputs on that, which would have killed the frog, is now able to get the Sunstone. All other runners currently around the Stompless area, and it looks like everybody's doing pretty well with that. Luster rather, had a little bit of issue with a bird, but he's on pace now as Muffin and Ronnie are in the cutscene. Wilson will be getting his Sunstone shortly. See Luster has a nice shot angle there and just is racing over to grab this ability still, because we have nothing better to do while the shot is going to break the rocks.
And then, of course, after the shot hits the rocks, it will then just warp you back to the location you're supposed to be at, and it just lets us save at any time that we are going to get that ability cell.
Alright, so Wilson is through the scary part of Sorrow Pass. Muffin just starting it. This is a huge sequence break that we see Muffin having just done Ronnie on now. Skips going to Forlorn Ruins and activating the wind. You're supposed to normally glide up through these spikes using the feather, but by manipulating the birds, we can get in like these runners are doing. Luster's attempt. Let's see how it goes. First tries for everybody so far. It's a trick that these runners have ground a lot, so I would expect them all to nail it, and it looks like the bird position is great for Luster. He's in as well, so very nice Sorrow entries from everybody.
Yeah, though we did see that Muffin made a slight mistake of dunking his frog into spikes, but did recover it beautifully, just going for a different frog, showing his knowledge. Oh no, but Luster drops the shot, not quite getting high enough, goes down slightly too early, and that means that the shot doesn't quite hit the ceiling. Fortunately, the frog decided to stop existing and return to its spawn point, so he could start that again nice and easily.
Yeah, it does mean that he's too low on energy to do a save here in front of the charge jump door, but that's a minor loss. And of course, remembering that he was too low on energy and not just reflexively trying to save and then jumping into spikes is it's all good. Wilson here in the top right, he's tearing through Misty Woods. All of these spikes do 3 damage, and this is one of the big reasons that players will often go for 4 health early, is because this area is terrifying, but Wilson has no fear. He's at the climb tree already, and he's just got to take off out of here as quickly as he can.
Yeah, so with Wilson's screen, we'll be seeing just absolute crazy movement here, all perfectly planned out, timing his dashes as to save him the absolute maximum amount of time he can, stomp cancelling over some spikes, just getting slightly underneath them so he can avoid them, and just the beautiful movement of just very experienced, well-planned and out runs on Wilson, and Ronnie about to go into the first half of Misty as well, so we'll be seeing him doing the same movement as well.
Yeah, that's right. Muffin and Ronnie, ooh, Muffin takes a bit of a damage there, but he has that extra health, so he has more leeway here than Ronnie does. Ronnie could just die and get sent unceremoniously back to the Sunstone at any moment. And ooh, Luster eats a laser in the bottom right there. Wilson on the mini-boss, kills it very quickly, very nicely. Clean mini-boss kill for him, and man, this is really close between Ronnie and Muffin right now.
Yeah, it's a surprise to see Ronnie being so close to Muffin, but you can just see just how significant deaths can be in this game, especially in areas like Blackroot Burrows, where it costs you so much time from taking a death, as you don't have this crazy movement ready to recover any mistake you make.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, Ronnie's put on a really sick run, aside from that Blackroot. Like, that kind of doomed him from the beginning. It's too much time lost to catch up with Wilson, basically. But, like, the rest of this, it's just been spectacular, because he was pretty far behind Muffin and Luster, too, and they are no slouches. They're very excellent runners in this game, but Ronnie, he's on another level. He's now second place amongst our featured runners, as long as he doesn't, you know, brush any spikes through here. Ooh, Muffin does brush some spikes. He's down to 2 life. He'll probably want to place a safety save soon so that he can take another hit, but we'll see what he decides. Yeah, he is going to save. Okay, makes sense.
Oh, but and then he very sensible save there as he plummets into spikes. Not quite getting the aim on the Frankie there. Very
high
value save.
Alright, so Wilson's got grenade jump. He's gonna, yeah, he's got grenade, I was gonna say. He's immediately gonna start grenade jumping. That's a trick where you do a wall charge jump 1 frame after throwing a grenade from the wall, and it sends you flying. It's crazy state transition deceleration reasons. It's a big deal in the final escape, because it skips a lot of the final cutscene, but other than that, it's just kind of a fast movement technique that he'll throw in a couple on his way to Horu here, because he has all the skills already. He's ready to finish this run.
Which at this time in the run is incredible already, to be heading to the final escape. He will have to pick up an extra health cell here, just coming into Horror Fields, but other than that, he has everything that he needs to finish, and he will just be ready to go through the final area of the game. Oh, Luster taking a little bit of a death, but he's got a safety save, so he's only losing a tiny bit of time here. But all of these little deaths that Luster has been having have just been adding up to causing him to fall a little bit behind Muffin.
Yeah, that's right. There's not too much run left, so I'd say Muffin's in a commanding position amongst those two here, but the final escape can be pretty scary. There are a couple tricks near the end that are spooky. Wilson is on one of them right now, Door Warp. You want to enter the door the first frame the file loads, and he gets it, which sends him to the wrong place, because the proper place for the door has not loaded yet. It just goes to the scene default, which is at the end of the game, and now he's going for Warmth Skip. It's a menuing trick you can use, which he got, and now has to move through the first 2 rooms of the escape blind, and oh my gosh, he saved himself. He was about to stomp the lava, and he has made it through the 2 rooms. So now it's just the rest of the escape for Wilson.
Yeah, all he has is 2 energy left, which he will be needing to do a grenade jump if he makes any mistakes. So he's barely got any safety here as he comes into the swim, in which he needs to do this perfectly, otherwise he will die to the poison water. He makes it out with 1 health, and now he jumps over the Kuro spawn trigger so he doesn't have to deal with Kuro, and now sets up a grenade jump. We'll see if he gets it. Misses it the first time, and gets it the second time. That is a frame perfect trick just at the very end of the run, and even getting the position wrong there will soft lock you, so it's good to see runners get that, especially but as expected from a runner like Wilson, who's done this a million times.
Yeah, and that's going to be a sub 29 for Wilson. He just has to hold right through the final cutscene here, and that's going to be a really nice time for him in the qualifiers. We've seen a few 28s. I think that's Wilson's second that he's put up in 3 races. That's just awesome to see. For the other runner's part, Ronnie has nailed his door warp. He's going to go on to this final escape now. Muffin is almost there as well. He's jumping through horror fields, all those grenade jumps, getting in to the last little section of the run as well. Ronnie on warmth skips as well. Let's see how it goes for him. I think he did take a death to this in one of the previous qualifiers, but he is through those first couple of rooms now, and he will be going through the rest of the escape. Still has energy to spare, so everything's looking good for Ronnie. He's just got to go through that little spooky swim and he'll be done as well. Muffin nails door rope also. Man, these guys are really making this trick look easy.
Yeah, even though it is a single frame that they've got, but some runners have got used to just timing it out precisely using whatever, either a visual cue or an audio cue. And other runners just like to mash the button and hope that they get it in time. And Luster is also heading to the final escape. Muffin does have an extra health, so he does have the extra safety for the swim. He's going for a couple extra grenade jumps that I'm not even sure if they save time. Probably not. Oh, he's getting very close to Kuro hitting him, but just barely makes it out. He's going for another grenade jump. What a madman. Going for the end. He's got the extra safety here, so he's got not much concern of dying to the swim. Doesn't even need the extra health, and is now going to the grenade jump. And Ronnie finishing with a 30-18, which is a very respectable time by almost anyone's standard, but Ronnie probably is not too happy with that, but he can definitely redeem himself in future qualifiers. I'm sure most runners would just be would be amazed to get such an incredible time.
Yeah, that actually does help Ronnie's average amongst his qualifiers so far, but he has 2 more races. It's very likely that he can put up another 28 or 29 in those, so this won't be his final average, but it's definitely, an insane run considering what happened in Black Group. Now, Muffin is hopping over to the end. He's finishing up with a 31.05, which I believe is going to help his average as well. It's not his qualifier best, which was a 30.43, but it is better than his second best time, so it's good stuff for him. And Luster, through the final escape, is looking for something better than a 33.17, so he can still improve his average with this. Run probably didn't go quite as he wanted, but it still could be a good enough time to help the average out a little bit. So let's watch Luster. Coming into the swim now, has to be careful not to take any extra hits.
He makes it out. Is he going to skips Kuro perfectly? And now he's just going for the final grenade jump. All that's left between him and victory is a double one frame input. Misses it the first time, gets it the second time. That looks good. It looks like he's going to be finishing with a time improving his average.
Yeah, so, man, nice stuff from every racer there. That was pretty exciting coming down to the end. Unfortunately, you know, for the head-to-head Wilson versus Ronnie, it ended a little early in the run. We got to see some nice stuff from every runner. Sick overall run from Wilson. A nice run back from Ronnie. And really good times from Muffin and Luster. Not their best qualifiers so far, but could factor into their final averages because they were pretty solid times overall.
Yeah, definitely. So, wonderful races from all the runners. I'm not sure what the final times of everyone in the qualifier was, but I believe Wilson was the first place. Yes, Wilson was the first place overall in this specific qualifier race. So you can have the extra bragging rights there, with Ronnie coming in second in this qualifier.
Yeah, just to run down some of the other participants here, Muffin picked up third in this one. I only have their SRL times in front of me, so it's not the official, but Tara came in fourth with 31.26. Tritonite, fifth with a 32.29. Grease coming in at 32.35. And then Luster with the 32.39 you see here. So actually, 3 runners finishing within kind of the same 10-second span in the SRL race. That's pretty sick, and that's a preview of what we're going to be seeing between these kind of players in the bracket, because you know when you're pulling off these 32-minute qualifiers, you're very likely going to be top 32, showing some bracket play later on.
Oh yes, definitely. We'll hopefully be seeing in the bracket, we'll be seeing a lot more evenly matched matchups instead of ending up comparing someone like of Wilson's caliber to someone of Muffin's caliber, even though they're both still incredible runners of this game.
Yeah, that's right. And we have a lot of other names in this qualifier. Nobody else has finished yet, I think, which means a few of them are getting a little wrecked, because we have a lot of other runners who are definitely capable of 30s and 29s in here. But that's why you have 7 opportunities to run qualifiers here. Your best 3 get taken for your qualifying time. So a lot of people might be shaking their heads and writing this one off, but you know, we picked the right people to watch. We got the top 3 and a really nice time from Luster as well, picking up 5th. So, man, what a good race.
Agreed. And so, thank you all for watching this specific broadcast of the All Skills tournament. We will have another match for you later on this evening at 10. I believe it's 10 p.m.
Yeah, 10 p.m.
EST?
Eastern.
Oh, EST.
Yeah.
And,
so yeah, we'll be back for that. We'll be bringing more runners, and hopefully some more people putting up sick times. Maybe some of the other people who weren't featured on this one going back for revenge. But that'll be all for us. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to tune in for the next race and follow the bracket action later on this month.